Trust in me, remember who you are. Guiding, remembering the spark. Care for me, you're the only one who can. Loving me, remember who you are. Connect with me, that spark that's deep within. Remembering those whispers that you hear. Nourishing those gifts that you do bear.
Hi, my name is Wayne Brown from Life Back on Track. Just wanted to give you a bit of a summarisation of my journey of how I got to where I am and the challenges that I've faced along the way. One of the things I like to do with my coaching is to try and keep it real. So when I talk or present, I try to keep it as real as possible. And this is because since I was young, I was taught to shut myself down, to keep my voice down, to not upset people, to not rock the boat. And I realised that that set me up for a lot of challenges in my life that I didn't need to have. So when I had my relationships, my first marriage was one that had some challenges, as they do. And sadly, it only lasted for 4 years. And the most challenging part was that we had 2 boys, still have 2 boys, and I loved being a dad. So when that was taken away from me, part of my identity was stolen, part of my joy of life was stolen, and that really put me on a dark path. And around that time, I started to wonder, where did I go wrong? Where did I stuff up? What's wrong with me? And I started studying, reading books, doing courses, doing everything I could. And I didn't have a lot of money at the start, so I was hiring books and DVDs and stuff out of the library. So absolutely cost nothing, just invested my time and effort. And as I went along, I started to learn things and understand things a little better. And I thought, maybe I'm getting the hang of this. So I met another woman through a mutual friend, and I thought, oh, this sounds good. This feels good. This could be a chance to get better at this. No, it quickly went south, and we spent over a decade making each other miserable. It was very toxic, a lot of conflict. And what I realised at the end of this was I'd learnt all of this stuff, but there was nothing that made it cohesive, nothing that pulled it together. I had no system. So I sat down and created a system and reverse engineered relationships. So I looked at what a successful relationship was, what a effective and loving parent looked like, all of these things, and tracked it back step by step to where I was so that I had a path in front of me. And I went and applied this, and I had reasonably good results. And I found another partner, and the relationship was a major step up, and there was a lot less conflict, and it was a lot more effective and loving. And my parenting was getting better and more effective. And so I was feeling good. And then I discovered some problems with my system. I had externalized everything. So I was looking at everything external to me, and my old habits crept back in, and that relationship went downhill. Nowhere near as bad as it had been. I did notice, though, that it was me allowing those beliefs about myself to come back in. And what I did is I ended that relationship after 3 years because I could see it wasn't working anymore for either of us, and it wasn't fair on either of us. And then I sat down and pulled everything apart and realised where I could put me back into the journey. So put me in control of everything. And then once I had that, I created a system to go out and find my best partner. And I met her, and the relationship's been phenomenal. It gets better every day. I can't believe how good it feels in comparison to what I used to have. My parenting is on point. My boys seek me out. They're close to 30 now. They seek me out and say, hey, Dad, we haven't seen you in a while. Let's catch up. My relationships with my friends has become better. It's more open. I'm more confident, more grounded, more capable. And all of this, thankfully, happened before all the crap happened. Because during that allowed me to stay strong and resist all the rubbish that was going on, even though I was the only person I knew that stood against it. And it was very challenging. I had people negating me and minimizing me and arguing me, trying to make me feel guilty. And it was just horrible and isolating. And I've never felt so bad. And my wife, she went and had all the shots. And we had moments where I couldn't even be near her because if that subject came up, we would argue. And we had very, very different views. And a while ago, I thought, you know what? I've got to let her know how bad I felt. And I did. And she now has a full understanding of my journey. And that was only possible because we'd created a relationship where we could both be open and honest. So now, because I know the impact it's made on me for my strength, my masculinity, that's been a massive one. My effectiveness as a parent, my ability to be a loving partner, to be a decent friend, all of these things. Because of what I've learned and realised and put together as systems, that's what I've been helping people with for a number of years now. So if their relationship's struggling, I help them get it going again. If they're struggling to understand their child who's a teenager and going through their own challenges, I help them understand where they're at so I can connect with them better. If they're having conflict where it's just toxic and they can't get connection or resolution, I help them achieve that. And it's one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. I love doing it. There's nothing better than getting a phone call from someone or a message saying, I can't believe how easy it is now. And a lot of things in life are easy. We tend to make things harder because we're using crappy tools. There's an analogy I've used for years where I say a lot of us are trying to chop down a tree with a hammer. And some people have asked me why I use that analogy, and it's because I've actually done that. I needed to chop down a small tree. It was only about the size of my arm, and all I had was a hammer. So I chopped down the tree with a hammer, and it was very messy, took a lot of energy, took a lot of time, wasn't very effective. It did get the job done, though, and a lot of us are doing that in our lives. We're doing the best we can with the tools we've got. We're just using a hammer to chop down the tree. So I enable people to get a better range of tools to use so they can get a better result with less effort, less time, and a better quality of result. I remember years ago I did Toastmasters because I wanted to be more comfortable speaking in front of a group. And one thing that I didn't know that I had as a talent was I would turn up to our club meetings. And when you had a club meeting, you used to have a minimum of 2 speakers each night. So I would rock up and my president would go, oh, we've only got 1 speaker. Wayne, can you come up with a speech? And a speech is only 5 to 7 minutes. And I would go, yeah, no worries. And I would think up a subject. It could be the lifespan of a bee, for example. And I would just do some dot points and then I'd stand up for 5 minutes and talk. And people were like, oh my God, how do you do that? And I'm like, it's easy. And what I've realized, and this is something I really want people to get, there are things that every single one of us just do so easily with so little effort and so effectively, we can't see how bloody amazing we are. So now that I know I can do that, I also know some other things that I can do so easily that make me an amazing human being. And so that's increased my worth. So if you're wondering what it is that you do so well, ask your friends. Ask them, what is it that I do so easily that it annoys you that I make it look so easy? And it could be cooking a meal or building a wall. Could be anything. Ask them because they will tell you how amazing you are. For those of you that may be wondering how to get in contact with me, an easy way to do it is type in Wayne Brown, Life Back on Track into your search browser and my podcast will pop up. You can always go to my website, www.life-on-track.com. And there it will list all my services. I help people one-on-one. I help people one-to-group. So I do Zoom calls where it's myself coaching a group of people. I have online courses for all the different aspects of life and where I've created systems. And the ones where I'm not an expert, I'll just advise you as best I can. And when you're at the stage where you want someone who can really be an expert, I can direct you towards them. So I'll help you as much as I possibly can, as long as you're dedicated to your results as well. So that's my story. I hope it inspires you to go and create the life you love and you deserve. So I look forward to connecting with you and hearing your story. And hopefully one day I'll get a message from you as well, hearing how it's helped you.
Trust in me, remember who you are, guiding, remembering the spark. Care for me, you're the only one who can. Loving me, remember who you are, connect with me, that spark that's deep within, remembering those whispers that you hear, nourishing those gifts that you do bear, grounding in the truths that have appeared. Remember who you are, remember who you are, remember, 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 remember. Trust in me, remember who you are, guiding, remembering the spark.